2:20 this morning. The urban search and rescue operators were able to locate the body of the missing woman. Very sadly, that lady was deceased, and so that concluded the search and rescue operation. In the lead up to that, through the course of yesterday, we were able to access some heavy machinery. We also had a large crane helping to lift large pieces of slab off the building site to gain further access, and it was as a result of being able to lift those large portions of the slab and gain further entry into the previously restricted rooms within the apartment that we were able to finally locate the missing person. I'll now hand over to Superintendent Newman from New South Wales Police.
Thanks, Commissioner. Detective Superintendent Darren Newman, Commander of Blacktown Police Area Command. Our police officers obviously responded at 12:52 p.m. on Saturday the 1st of June with emergency services from fire and rescue. I can tell you it was a very confronting scene when they arrived. We had a significant explosion that occurred here and was felt right across Sydney in various other suburbs. To date, as the Commissioner has indicated, a fairly significant operation took place over the last number of hours and days, and we were able to find this morning, as I said, just after 2:20, the victim who was found in a unit who we were looking for over the last number of days. I can tell you that we have been working with the victim's family through our family liaison officers. We have been with that family since this matter was reported. Around the clock with our officers on the ground with the family, working with them and providing them with that support that they need. I can tell you at this point in time we have been issued a coronial order which we will be now. This matter's now been handed over to New South Wales Police in the early hours of this morning. We will go through a very comprehensive and significant examination of the scene with our partners from Fire and Rescue. We'll also have independent gas experts on site as well throughout the day to make sure that we can get the best information available as to how this occurred. I can say that the Deputy State Coroner was on site yesterday. He was briefed, and then we also took him out to the site yesterday to have a look at the scope and scale of this incident. In terms of the investigation, at this point in time, Mount Druitt Police Area Command have carriage of the investigation under Strike Force Wenholz, Wenholz. We have a number of investigators from Northwest Metropolitan Region assisting Mount Druitt detectives with State Crime Command Arson Squad. At this point in time, in terms of the residents, we're working very closely with Homes New South Wales to ensure that all of the occupants of the units have temporary accommodation and look to move them into some more permanent accommodation as we move through. At this point in time, I would suggest that we're going to be holding this scene for at least 48 hours, but I'd suggest probably up to 72 hours in terms of being able to process right through this. At this point, we have worked closely with Health, we've worked closely with Homes New South Wales to make sure all of those residents have been looked after from both a medical point of view and also a psychological point of view. We are Homes New South Wales will be opening up the Community Health Centre at Mount Druitt for the next week, and we'll have clinicians in that site that can assist those that require that assistance. I might just hand over now to Ambulance New South Wales.
Thank you, Superintendent. It's Ian Johns, Chief Superintendent, New South Wales Ambulance. So as we know, we transported 5 people from this site on Saturday afternoon, 3 to the Mount Druitt Hospital and 2 to the Hawkesbury Hospital. We're also aware that a small number of other people self-presented to health facilities locally. Before I go any further, can I just acknowledge that there's a family grieving someone's lost their life in this incident, and we pay our respects into that family and to their friends and to this community. The Western Sydney Local Health District has set up a mental health support system at the Mount Druitt Community Centre. It's open every day this week, 8:30 to 4:30. If people feel they need some support, they should make their way to the Mount Druitt Community Health Centre. I mentioned it on Saturday, I'll mention it again. The emergency services in this state are highly trained, highly specialised. They train together and we work together in events like this. It's the best way to ensure the best possible outcome for patients and the community. And we saw that over the last number of days here in Whalan. I think what I'll do now is hand back to the Commissioner of Fire and Rescue and let him conclude. Thank you.
All right, we'll hand over to any questions.
Talk about the machinery involved that helps with
Yep.
the woman being found. How complex was this search operation? How do you describe it?
Well, this is exactly the type of thing that we train for in that urban search and rescue capability. Anytime you have a building that undergoes some sort of a shock and then a structural failure, and particularly on the scale of what we saw that occurred on Saturday, it is inherently an extremely complex and dangerous situation. So you've got unsupported building elements, you've got loads placed in parts of the building and on materials in the building that aren't necessarily designed to withstand those loads. And then to be able to move in, through and under and around that material is quite a dangerous thing to do. As part of that, we use a lot of shoring equipment, so we'll use some rams and also blocks to support the load and make spaces safe for our rescuers to work in. And then as they progress under any items, they can be assured that they're safe, and we're continually monitoring the stability of the building. So we had laser detectors that are used to sense any movement, and if there's any concern around unexpected movement in the building, we'll either take steps to evacuate the rescuers off the site or then put extra shoring in to stop that movement. So you've seen the full sort of range of types of things that our firefighters would need to do conducting an urban search and rescue operation. They've been required to tunnel, they've been required to cut, penetrate holes through, use search cameras to then search sort of small voids they couldn't access physically. And then throughout all of that, we're also monitoring the atmosphere with gas detection equipment, detecting any unexpected movement, and using acoustic listening equipment as well.
Can you step us through more about the location where the body was found and what needed to be moved to uncover that body?
Basically, there was a whole range of other parts of the building material that had fallen down and obstructed the access. So it was really just a question of moving through that area that we were targeting in the search and that apartment, and trying to gain access to each part of it as we could to search it and confirm whether or not the victim was there. So the first part of what you saw on Saturday was the really sort of tough manual work of clearing all the extra debris off the first layer or two. And then you see some different sort of layering, the different parts of the building obviously all then compressed into a much smaller area than they normally are when the building's standing. So, removing the bits of the roof, removing the timber from the roof frame, and then, all the bricks, the tons and tons of bricks. But then the big challenge is being able to move through the concrete slabs. And so having to cut through the slabs, to break bits of that off, to gain access, to then start the initial sort of look in there. And then as we were able to, because we'd removed a lot of that overburden type material, we were able to then start breaking the larger parts of the slab up, and that was when we were utilising the crane to then try and remove those in as big a sections as we possibly could.
Was there any thing to suggest that there was a body under that particular spot, or was it just uncovered in the case of contamination?
No, well, obviously we'd had the information to indicate the start of the incident that the young lady was in the apartment, and from that point on it was just a matter of trying to make sure we fully explored every part of the apartment and trying to locate her.
So what room was she found in?
I understand she was in the kitchen area.
just an update, I guess, on the structural integrity of the other buildings attached. Are you able to give us any indication for residents as to how long they'll have to be in emergency accommodation?
Well, yes. Now, obviously, there's a detailed assessment on the building that'll take place. We're not going to rush that. We'll work closely with our colleagues in police as they're, working out their investigations and examination of the scene, and we'll be working with the engineering partners to work out the integrity of the building and where that goes. But at this point in time, it's too early to give any indication. It's clearly the complex has suffered a severe impact and shock, so we need to be very thorough and just take our time on that.
Are there any further threats relating to gas for surrounding properties here?
No.
Just one for Mr. Newman. In terms of, you talked about how there'll be gas experts on scene here today. What steps do they need to take to then investigate whether this was linked to a gas leak, or something like that?
Yeah, they'll go through a whole process and they'll work with our crime scene examiners to make sure that we can thoroughly investigate this. Obviously, we're doing it on behalf of the coroner, and we want to make sure that we've got all the information available. Somebody's lost their life, and we'll make sure that we prepare the best possible brief that we can for the coroner to make a decision around the cause of death.
I believe Gemini was the supply that was in charge of the contract for the building. Have you reached out to them? Have any officials from them been on site at this stage?
That'll be part of the investigation. We'll work with obviously the gas supply, maintenance, the inspectors, everybody that's had anything to do with gas supply to the property over the next period of time.
Do you hope that if there was something that was missed, a problem, an issue, that then this investigation does lead to some sort of change?
That will be part of the investigation at this point in time. We'll look at all aspects of those things that may or may not have happened throughout the course of those inspections that occurred here.
And I know you've spoken briefly about working with the family today. How are they doing?
As you can imagine, Mum's devastated. We've been working closely with her ever since this was reported. So we've had our family liaison officers, two of those officers working around the clock with her and the rest of the family. Obviously we had to deliver a death message this morning, and from our perspective we'll continue to provide the family with support through our family liaison network and just making sure that she is looked after as best we possibly can. Not at this point in time. No, not at this point in time.
And I guess you have a bit of a timeline as to when the body will actually be removed?
Yeah, I can tell you the body has been removed from the site, and we will go through that formal identification process over the next number of hours.
I guess you obviously criteria right now. How tough has this investigation been on anyone?
When you've got, you're very proud of working for New South Wales Police, the fire and rescue team, the AMBOs and specialist AMBOs that were on site, all of our rescue police that were here, our public order police, and the first responders that were here, 5 minutes after the explosion took place. It's difficult, it's confronting, but we just do the best we possibly can on the time, and I can tell you they have not stopped working since that report came in up until 2:23 this morning.
Lots of residents around here told us that they've been smelling gas in the lead up to this investigation. Are any of these concerns about this?
Yeah, that'll be part of our investigation. We'll look at all of those historical reports.
And would you consider a criminal investigation if it does come to light that it was the gas that was involved?
At this point in time, we'll work through those issues within the investigation and report that through to the coroner.
Last questions.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
very
you.
much, everyone.
Thank you.
No, I don't have enough battery.